fun people, I'm Isaac Carlson, and today I want to understand what compelled the small Susie Johnson to terrorize everyone, why she targeted Jeremy's girlfriend, and how she developed an extremely complicated relationship with Candace Flynn. And of course, if you're new here and you'd like to join the Tri-State Area Disney Fan Club, then consider subscribing. Now, to understand how Susie could get to a place where she's kind of the closest to Candace, we have to completely grasp what mattered to that little girl. Comprehending who Susie is unearths how she would open up to one of her most formidable enemies, and how Candace would embrace her. In the world of Phineas and Ferb, little Susie Johnson stands out amongst other antagonists because the reality is that there's very few individuals who are depicted as purely malicious, diabolical, and mean. And even when they are, they honestly aren't typically too threatening. Love Muffin had some evildoers like Rodney who were dangerous threats, and Doofenshmirtz's second dimension counterpart was pretty bad, but the recurring villains and bullies like Doof and Buford are also associated with a dark backstory that haunts them. The main cast of characters can all be pretty easily connected with, even if we don't agree with all of their actions, except for Susie. That little girl is kind of in a league of her own because she has no redeeming qualities. She doesn't possess some messed up backstory or good intent for her actions. Susie is never portrayed as someone just longing for connection, except for a few little moments. For the most part, every bit of her intelligence is poured into her ability to manipulate her brother Jeremy and his girlfriend Candace.
There's only room for one girl in Jeremy's life, and that is me.
Susie Johnson's intent is clearly dark and only acts to have control over everything, which means that there's very few ways we can relate with her. At least I don't connect with being a devil little sibling, and I don't have an evil little brother, so yeah, there's not a lot for me to bond with, especially since she compulsively lies. Everything Susie does when she's acting cuddly, happy, and warm, I find very difficult to believe because it's so often used to ensure that Jeremy continues to prioritize her. From the moment she's introduced, Susie begins as a normal little girl and quickly transitions into a monster, casting threats upon Candace in an attempt to push her away so that she could be the only one influencing her brother.
But never, ever forget, I am and always will be Jeremy's favorite girl.
Susie's evil comes out to protect her place in her brother's life, and anyone who could possess some of Jeremy's time and affection was a threat, which meant that Candace was the biggest threat of all as Jeremy's girlfriend. That's why when Candace first arrived to Jeremy's house, Susie literally attacked Candace with a sprinkler system, a remote control car, and a poodle who was trained to fight against Susie's threats. Of course, the unfortunate reality though was that while we all could see Susie's evil come through along with Candace, very few others could as well. Jeremy rejects Candace's every warning that Susie was out to get her, meaning that while Jeremy wanted to be with Candace, he would not assist her in managing his wicked sister. Really, the only other person who could understand Candace's fear was Buford. As a bully himself who often put down others and targeted kids, what he saw in Susie was true darkness, which either meant he saw through her facade or she terrorized him at some point.
Behold the face of evil.
Sure, Susie would occasionally terrorize anyone who needed to be controlled through force, but the grand majority of people in her life could be molded by her cute little girl behavior. Every time we see her appearing to be non-threatening, kind, sweet, and innocent, we can never tell what her true intentions are because we have seen that cute exterior melt into this little demon girl who looks like she's going to rip everyone apart. And the best way to show why that is true is through her supposed love of Ducky Momo. At the Fantasy and Science Fiction Convention, we find out that Susie says she has a deep passion for Ducky Momo, which is her rationalization for why she chases down a Candace dressed up in a Ducky Momo costume multiple times on that day. And later on, she even tells Ducky Momo that she loves him. While she seems genuinely excited, it's difficult to tell if that's true, because when the Johnson family came to the Flynn Fletcher home for brunch and Susie overheard Candace was affected by an anti-gravity device, Susie explicitly attempted to undermine her by trying to release her into the air. And her last big attempt to get Candace to let go of her anchors to the ground is by forcing her to save a beloved Ducky Momo collectible plate. Why, if Susie was such a massive Ducky Momo fan, would she be willing to destroy such an iconic relic of the franchise just to fight off Candace? What I think this means is that either the grand majority of her life that is seen by Jeremy is fake, or her desire to destroy others and rise above them is stronger than any childhood love that she has obtained. Either way, Susie is one cold little girl who is intent on destroying Candace and rising to be Jeremy's #1 girl. And there truly doesn't seem to be any lengths that she wouldn't be willing to go to in her pursuit of Jeremy's love. I mean, Susie put rockets on Candace's skates when they competed in a roller derby competition against one another. She lured squirrels into Candace's pants with an acorn, scared her with a squirrel right after a traumatic dance number to force her to run off, and she's more than happy to plant seeds of doubt in Jeremy's mind.
These violent mood swings are probably a sign of deeper emotional imbalance.
What?
Bubble!
But nothing Susie does truly keeps Jeremy away from Candace, regardless of how much she wants them to be apart. And interestingly enough, though, that doesn't actually mean that she hates Candace. While she's willing to go to great lengths to undermine those who seek attention from her brother, she doesn't actually intend to truly ruin any of those people's lives because she only torments and undermines others to keep her control.
Making you look bad is just one of the ways I control Jeremy. If he's not here, I'm off the clock.
Wait, you can control your brother?
Can't you get your brothers to do anything you want?
No way!
When Jeremy is far away from Susie and Candace, Susie makes Candace paper dolls, coaches her to be in control of her brothers, and supports Candace's attempt to have her brothers bust themselves. Susie tries to change Candace's approach to how she interacts with her brothers because these two sisters seem like two sides of the same coin. Both of these sisters have the same goal of attempting to have some type of control over their brothers' lives, but they go about solving those problems in radically different ways. Candace attempts to control her brother's behaviors by going through the right path of attempting to bring their mother to stop them, meaning Candace relies on others to control her brother's lives, while Susie manipulates her brother by using her own charm and deception, meaning Susie relies on no one other than herself to get what she's after. But it's the immoral way to go about doing that. It seems Susie's greatest foe is the opposite of her. But then that brings up the question, why would she be so honest to her enemy? To me, I think Susie's conversations with Candace are the most honest that Susie ever is throughout the show. When Susie is around her family, everything she does is a performance, and she literally needs the tell the truthinator to reveal her true intentions.
I've been trying to make Candace look bad all morning.
But when she's with Candace, Susie is completely transparent with what she wants and what she's willing to do to achieve her goals. And honestly, I'm surprised that she's that open with Candace because it doesn't make sense for her to be that nice to her enemy because that reveals that she's not purely a destructive person, and those moments have the potential to limit how fearful Candace could be of her. Susie seems to be showing that she's not actually a darkness from another world. But of course, there's still the chance that all of Susie's actions with Candace are another layer to her deception. I just think that's hard to believe when she's actually willing to address every aspect of her character. Maybe telling Candace the truth was the only way to adequately manipulate her, but maybe Susie is just trying to look for someone like her to relate with. Unlike other villains who are transparent about their plots with their families and informed organizations around plotting to take over the world, Susie put up a wall around herself from everyone other than her enemies. She seems to only feel she can be her true self with those that she hopes will be removed from her life by her own actions. That's why the person that we see Susie communicate with the most, honestly, is Candace, which indicates that while Susie may not appreciate Candace intervening in her life, she also feels unthreatened by her to the point where she can be herself. Now, Susie could be the bringer of darkness in the face of evil, but I think it's possible that there is some type of humanity within her because of how she illogically connected with Candace through their roles as sisters. Most of Susie's life is a lie, except when she's with Candace. And yes, Candace definitely doesn't appreciate Susie pushing against her relationship with Jeremy, but we also discover that she does have a soft spot for her after spending so much time with her. When Candace is in the Ducky Momo costume, she tells Susie that Ducky Momo loves her. She has an enjoyable day with Susie when they tried to bust Phineas and Ferb, and when Susie is getting in trouble for attempting to sabotage her, Candace comes to her defense. Sure, Susie Johnson is an apathetic, selfish, and egotistical person who serves her own interests and can behave like a little bloody monster, but Candace saw something through all of that. While Candace and Susie didn't have a very distinguished relationship, somehow the little tormentor and her victim formed a heartfelt bond that I believe will continue to grow between them, which probably is a good thing since we know they become sister-in-laws in the future. But let me know down below what your thoughts and theories are surrounding Candace and Susie's relationship. Do you think they create a friendship? Also, make sure to subscribe and click the beautiful bell, and then click on another magical video in the description or on the screen. Finally, thank you to my patrons, thanks for watching, and have a magical day.